Alright, are we ready to talk about the most divisive game of this year? Oof. I think it's time. I've played about 20 hours so far, so let's just get into it. Dragon Age the Veilguard. You're probably wanting to know whether this game is quote-unquote woke, as much as social media is making it out to be, and I'll touch on that in a bit, I promise. But I'm hoping by the end of this video, that isn't what we're divisive about. But rather, let's get divisive on whether this is a good video game or not. Because that's really why I'm here, to see what games are good and what games are not. And even more importantly, whether this combat is fun or not. I won't lie to you guys, the long story short on this game, the too long didn't read, is that Dragon Age Veilguard is basically baby's first RPG. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I know, it sounds bad. But what I really mean is that this game is just easy. It's quick and easy to drop in and out of quests. It has constant direction on where to go, constant rewards for your efforts, minimal efforts at that. Skill points are easily attainable, and I can respec them at any time, and party members join me without very much convincing. And most of all, above all else, Dragon Age the Veilguard has a very easy to digest story. I'm basically Jon Snow of Game of Thrones up in this thing, trying to unify and bring people together to fight the greater evil. Some characters don't like each other, or they just don't want to listen to reason, but my character never really gives up in trying to save the world with their help. Even though I was basically the one to cause all of this mess, but I digress, no spoilers. The point is, the story mostly ends up with me and my squad easily set up to win, as if the outcome is already determined. But how we get there, I do have a little control over it. Like I said, baby's first RPG. I can decide to use force or use sympathy in how I talk to people. There can be some tension, some small betrayals, but I just continue to roleplay as Jon Snow, and I become the peacemaker, and ultimately, I want us to come together and fight against those who want to destroy the world. And when they are stubborn and still won't listen, well, I take care of that too.
Can't say I didn't try.
It has its good moments, and I feel the story is picking up the more I play, but in the beginning I did feel the combat was really the shining star of this game, more so than the story. And we're going to talk about the combat in a bit. But because of the story being a bit basic at first, it had me worried about one major thing: romance, or lack thereof. I was getting impatient, I'm not even gonna lie. I was asking myself, where's the booty action already? Because I need some. And then finally, oh, there's a heart. Should you be alone now?
I don't like leaving.
That's the first time I've seen a heart.
You don't have to worry about me. The Carnis.
Listen, I'm trying to romance. I'm trying to romance somebody. I don't care who. Shortly after that, as I kept playing, I finally had my opportunity for my first date. And when I tell you I was running feverishly to this date, I'm not even joking. And it's funny because this date ended up being even more silly than I could have imagined.
Hey, don't be a dick. That was for the little one. Stupid birds.
Bruh.
We fed birds, we talked about mommy issues, she burned things for me with her breath.
Something inside my throat opens up and lets stuff mix together. Then there's this rush of heat as I roar it out.
We fed some random homeless dude, and then it ended up with the confrontation with mommy herself. And the whole time my character was just looking so enamored. He was in love. It was wild. Tosh and her mom, the ones in this scene, are kind of the center of attention when it comes to some gamers complaining about this game being woke. And outside of this convo right here, we had another one where I probed and asked questions about Tosh and her womanhood. I wanted to show you guys this scene because after 20 hours, this has been the only one that I could really use as an example of what people are complaining about. I really felt that I could have avoided a lot of this conversation, but I was curious and I asked these specific questions. I'm not done with the game, but it's been 20 hours, you guys. And so far, I feel this whole woke controversy is just blown out of proportion as usual.
It feels right when she says I act more like a man.
And that's all I really have to say on it, to be honest, because the story is so easily digestible and it can come across as super basic or even cringy if you're easily cringed. But woke? The word, I swear, has lost so much of its meaning these days. And I never get into video games looking for something to be mad about, especially when it comes to this topic. I'm just here to see if this is a good video game or not. That's really where my head is at. And despite this game being baby's first RPG, like I said, Dragon Age Veilguard does a great job at just being a video game. As simple as that sounds, it's true. When it comes to its gameplay loop, the game's narrative, and the combat that splits up the narrative, it's very quick, snappy, to the point, and full of action in these combat moments. The combat is just straight up a lot of fun. I'm going to show you guys some of the best moments I've had in this game, and if you're on the fence, I want you to watch this combat and ask yourself if it looks fun to you. Because I seriously feel that if it looks fun to you, that you should absolutely play it. Because this combat is what really stood out to me when it was first revealed, and I have not been disappointed by it. And it may sound crazy, but I honestly feel like some of these action sequences and the bosses resemble something like Gears of War, where it's like this high action paced game delivered in such a way that it's reminiscent of my favorite Dude Bros. Like, I feel Gears of War inspiration here. And I could easily see the cog in here shooting these bosses, but instead I'm this RPG character with moves like this, and it's just a blast. I have to tell you guys, it's really fun to play this game. Just combat on its own makes up for whatever you might find, bad about the rest. That's how I feel about it. It's not perfect. Sometimes the camera gets a little wonky and the lock-on kind of pisses me off at times because it doesn't really lock on to who I want to at certain times. But overall, I really like this combat. It's just fun. I mean, look at this. It's a lot of fun. And ultimately, I feel like Dragon Age, the Veilguard, it might not be the most complex RPG. In fact, it's very far from that. But as a video game, if we're looking at the very definition of a video game, where it's fun and just easy to get into and figure out, and as easily as digestible as this experience is, where it's not difficult to understand, and it just really just does the job of being a video game. And that's what I really wanted to get across to you guys. Like, if you're looking for something to just kind of have fun with, not take too serious, seriously, don't take this game too seriously. I know some people tend to want to do that all the time, but if you could suspend that, I think, even just for a bit, to experience this combat and just how simple of an experience it is, and have the open-mindedness for it. Because with me, I play Souls games all year. I played the DLC for Elden Ring, where I was lost and didn't know what the freak I was doing, but I loved it, right? I went through it with some of those bosses and some of these other games. So I don't mind this little palate cleanser. I don't mind having something that's just easy and straight to the point and gives me directions on what to do all the time. Sometimes that's perfectly fine. And I feel like this game hit me at a good time because it is towards the end of the year. I have went through it with a lot of Souls games through the year and got my ass kicked. Something like this is kind of nice to experience after going through all that, It's just something to chill with, not take too seriously, and just have a good time with. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to this game. As a video game, it does the job. As a Dragon Age, you might feel it doesn't. But this is not a review. It sounds like one. Why am I making it sound like a review? It's not. I still have to beat the game. Jury's still out. It could get worse. It could get better. We'll find out. But for right now, after 20 hours, it's not bad. All right, I'm having a good time. Other than that, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you were looking for a woke versus anti-woke rant or something of that nature, you're in the wrong place, man. I'm here to play games. I'm here to just enjoy them for what they are. And unless something's completely so absurd and rammed down my throat, I'm not going to really pay mind to it. And I'm not feeling that about this game, that it's, you know, any kind of serious conversation when it comes to that stuff. I just want to, you know, put that out there and just let you guys know it's not that serious. Take it with a grain of salt when you listen to people who say it is. That's all I got to say. Are they playing the game? Always ask that question. Did they play it? Ask that question. Other than that, you guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.